Welcome back to the Gen X Dad and his Gen Z Teens podcast. I'm your Gen X Dad, and today I want to talk about something that can be surprisingly difficult for all of us, and that is being willing to listen to ideas that challenge what we already believe. As a dad, one of my biggest responsibilities is helping my kids develop a strong foundation of ethics, morals, and values. I want my teens to know the difference between right and wrong. I want them to have integrity. I want them to be honest, dependable, respectful, and compassionate. Those things matter. They matter in school. They matter in relationships. They matter in your career. And they matter when nobody is watching. But here's another lesson that is just as important. Having values does not mean you know everything. Having convictions does not mean you stop learning. In fact, one of the greatest signs of maturity is being able to listen to a different point of view without immediately becoming defensive or angry. One of the problems I see today is that people often treat every disagreement like a personal attack. If someone challenges an idea, many people assume they are being challenged as a person. Those are not the same thing. Your ideas should be examined. Your opinions should be questioned. Mine should be too. That is how we learn. That is how we improve our understanding of the world. When I was growing up in Gen X, information was harder to get. If we wanted to learn something, we had to go to the library, read books, talk to people, or wait for information to come through television or newspapers. Today, you have access to more information than any generation in human history. That is an incredible advantage. But it also creates a challenge. Not all information is accurate. Not every opinion is wise. Not every loud voice is worth following. That means you need two skills working together. First, you need principles. Second, you need humility. Principles give you direction. Humility keeps you teachable. Think about it this way. If you believe something is true, then you should not be afraid to examine it. If an idea is strong, it can survive scrutiny. If a belief is based on truth, asking questions will only strengthen it. The only beliefs that fear examination are the ones built on weak foundations. Now, I'm not telling you to abandon your values every time someone disagrees with you. Far from it. There are certain principles that I hope you carry for the rest of your lives. Honesty matters. Responsibility matters. Keeping your word matters. Treating people with dignity matters. Working hard matters. Those values have stood the test of time for a reason. What I am suggesting is that when someone presents a different perspective, you should at least be willing to listen. Ask yourself whether there's something you can learn. Ask questions. Consider the evidence. You may discover that your original belief was correct. You may discover that it needs some adjustment. You may even discover that you were completely wrong. There is no shame in that. The shame comes from refusing to learn. The smartest people I've met in life are rarely the ones who claim to have all the answers. They're usually the ones asking thoughtful questions. They understand that every person they meet knows something they don't. They remain curious. They remain open. They continue growing long after many others have become rigid and stuck in their ways. As a father, I want my teens to have strong values. I want them to stand for something. But I also want them to have the confidence to engage with people who think differently. I want them to be able to hear another viewpoint without feeling threatened. I want them to understand that listening does not equal agreeing. Considering another perspective does not mean surrendering your principles. In fact, sometimes examining your beliefs strengthens them. Sometimes it reveals weaknesses that need correction. Either way, you come out wiser than before. So my challenge to all of you Gen Z listeners is simple. Hold on to your ethics. Hold on to your morals. Hold on to your values, but never become so certain of yourself that you stop learning. Stay curious. Stay humble. Stay teachable. The world is constantly changing. New information appears every day. The people who thrive are not the ones who think they know everything. They are the ones who keep learning throughout their entire lives. Thanks for listening to the Gen X Dad and his Gen Z Teens podcast. Hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, share it with a parent, a teen, or anyone who believes that strong values and an open mind can exist together. And if you're interested in building resilience, discipline, and personal growth, be sure to check out my book, Forging Indestructible Self-Discipline. It's available on Amazon. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep becoming a better version of yourself every single day. Take care.